Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. Ken here. Today I wanted to go through my top crankbaits for fall king salmon this year. Some were outstanding previous years, didn't do overly well this year, but still caught fish. A couple of real standouts from this year, and I guess we'll go over just a little bit of how I'm running them, some hook upgrades, items like that. So let's get started. Definitely top lure this year and last year. Chartreuse Zebra Reef Runner Deep Diver. If you're ordering them online, some websites will call it the Reef Runner 800. Most packages will say Deep Diver. This has been outstanding the last 2 to 3 years. Definitely a go-to. Number 2 for this year. This one's new to me. Lucky Larry. Took a lot of fish. The first row I'm going down is mainly high sunlight into the early morning, dawn time, evening sunset. Another one that's done me very well, especially during gin clear water, high sun. This one's called Green Flash. Another one that does well in high sun. I don't recall the name of this particular one. If you're already seeing a theme, chartreuse. Anything chartreuse, nose and tail. Those were probably my top 4 for daylight conditions this year. From previous years, still caught fish this year, just weren't the outstanding ones this year. We'll hold these both up. That is a Fire Tiger, and that is a Red Hot Tiger. As you can see, there's not a lot of difference. A little bit more orange on the Red Hot Tiger versus the standard Fire Tiger. Another one that does well in certain conditions, J13 Rapala in Fire Tiger. Now these don't run real deep. That's probably the reason I don't run them more often. If I'm out 25, 30 feet of water and the fish are mid to 3/4 of the way down, I will oftentimes run this on one color of lead core to get it sunk a little deeper. Where it really shines is in the harbors. You're getting that 15 foot or less of water. The reef runners dive really hard and really fast. You can end up hitting bottom, getting snags. So then I'll switch over to this J13 in that shallower water. It's got crazy good action with the jointed setup. And then moving into evening, middle of the night. This particular year, I fished for 10 days. And I think because we had so many bluebird skies, the night fishing dominated. Best fishing times for me most days was between midnight and 4 a.m. I pulled several all-nighters. So moving into that evening dark hours, this was the top producer, Blue Nose Wonder Bread. This particular one from Reef Runner from the factory does glow. I don't know that that was the actual difference. It's a very weak glow, but it does. This took countless amounts of fish. And then really moving into that 1-2 a.m. period, this Black Nose Wonder Bread would just turn on for about an hour window. And then once you get a little closer to dawn, it would just go dead. So there's something to be said for the black. It sounds counterintuitive, but I've heard it from other anglers that the black silhouettes well because the fish are looking up at it. Did me very well. Another good nighttime producer, Red Nose Wonder Bread. Wonder Bread has always been a standard salmon color, so just by varying the color of the nose, depending on the fish's attitude, that one worked well. This one was a surprise for me this year. I've owned it for several years, haven't run it much. Middle of the night, phenomenal lure. I believe they call this Lights Out. And then I've got some custom color. Well, all those other ones besides the J13s, were the Reef Runner Deep Divers or Reef Runner 800, depending on where you're ordering them from. These are some custom colors. This is a flicker minnow in Chartreuse Wonder Bread. These glow. This one, now these custom colors I didn't run a lot of this year. Unfortunately, where I purchased them, they didn't get them in until nearly the end of my trip. They did extremely well the last few days I fished them. So I really think had I had these a little sooner, they'd have been some definite standouts. They took fish. Here's another custom color. This is a flicker shad. They call this yellow goby. That one took fish. This is a glow Wonder Bread in the flicker shad also. Took a few fish. One I don't have with me today is also a custom flicker shad, but in a chartreuse zebra pattern. That one has been a standout for a couple of years. One other lure that caught me some fish this year, as a whole, J plugs didn't do well for me. I was a little disappointed. I bought a few more J's this year, had high hopes. They just didn't produce well, but this is one that's produced in the past. Put it out, got a couple of fish on it. Unsure of the exact name, but it is a Wonder Bread type pattern with some, it's got a little glow strip on the bottom. That's been a reliable producer. As far as rigging these up, let's see, I've got one here. This one happens to have the factory hooks on. I'll get that nice and close, try to hold it steady. I believe it's an Eagle Claw hook. There's nothing wrong with them, but these lures are, for the most part, designed for walleye. Nobody really produces a crankbait designed for salmon. These kings are hard on equipment. You're gonna destroy hooks. I'm actually surprised they still have the factory hooks on that one. Usually what I do, first thing when I take one out of the package, is go same size hook, which on the Reef Runners is a number 2 size, but I go to a 2X strong and a beefier split ring. We'll get that up so you can see that. So I replace the hooks and split rings. These happen to be a Gamakatsu 2X strong, fine quality hook. I also run Torpedo brand hooks. They seem to hold up quite well. One other thing you're going to want to check after landing a fish, these split rings, as good a quality as they are, will manage to work their way. Hold this up here where it's good and visible. There we go. That split ring will manage to start working its way around the loop in the lure. So every time after you get your fish netted, unhooked, fish taken care of, bled out on ice, you're gonna want to take a look at your lure. I lost a fish on a big strike this year, hook and split ring gone. I highly doubt the split ring failed. My guess would be that the split ring had worked over the loop on the lure, and when that next fish hit, it just finished the job. So definitely something to be mindful of. Now, the Reef Runners out of the package for me seem to run fairly true. You may have to tune them a little bit, but definitely after landing a fish, you're going to want to put that lure back in the water, pull it a little bit, make sure it's tracking straight. Reef Runners are great lures, but they're notorious for getting tweaked on these big king salmon. And if you just send it out, that thing may be running on its side, almost upside down. And all it takes is a little tweak with a pliers. If you happen to have a crankbait tuning tool, that's great. But definitely something to keep your eyes on when you're out there fishing. Hooks, even these 2X strongs, you get a big king in the net, it's thrashing around. Whether it's got one hook, both in its mouth, a lot of times it'll just have the rear. That front hook will hang on the webbing of your net. You lift that fish in the kayak, it's gonna bend one of these, one side, maybe multiples of the treble. I keep a pretty good stock of them rigged up with split rings already attached. My split ring pliers is right by my side, so I can get that hook changed out and get it back in the water. A lot of times these bite windows don't last very long, so you're going to want to be as efficient as possible. So I guess with that being said, that's a little rundown of lure selection for stage and king salmon. Hope that gives you guys some good information. You can put it to use, get on some fish. And as always, smash that thumbs up. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe. And stay tuned. I'm currently working on some footage from this fall. Gonna start working on rolling that out in the next little bit. So stay tuned. Thanks for watching. Tight lines.